Welcome back, No Business Soccer Podcast, fam. And today we're going to go over the Bundesliga 2025-2026 preview. And not much else to say. We're ready to go. This crowd's ready to go. Snooze, you ready to go?
Let's dig in. Hey, welcome back to the No Business Soccer Podcast. We are finishing up our season preview wraparounds, whatever you want to call them. But these are the previews for the 25-26 season, and we are taking care of the Bundesliga. And, of course, we've done the other one. So if you want to catch it, the La Liga preview, Premier League preview, Serie A preview, they're all there for you. Or maybe this one's first. I don't know. But either way, they'll be there eventually. We got the full fam today. We got J-Fam, the Brainiac. You know him. We got Danny P on the ones and twos. And, of course, your boy, Hype Man Vic. What you sipping on, dog?
I'll tell you what I got. I've had nothing but just straight pours the last episode. So I did make a cocktail. And this might look a little familiar, but I made a caipirinha.
Yes.
I finally found some Novo Fogo. But, Snooze, do you know the significance of me making this today?
Today, August 3rd. No, I don't.
Good, you shouldn't. It's a trick question. I just bought limes, so I just wanted to use it.
What?
Yeah.
That was okay.
No,
I didn't know you're starting to piss me off. All right.
Yeah, in case you haven't had it, it's cachaça, which is a Brazilian kind of rum thing, just sugar.
Shout out Yuri.
That's right, Yuri, our boy. Sugar granules and just lime, but it's so freaking good, so freaking smooth. Just like this transition to say, hey, like and subscribe the channel. You know, it's the best way to kind of get YouTube to say, hey, these guys are pretty cool. Maybe show them in front of other people. And plus, once you subscribe, turn on notifications, you'll get all of our breakdowns coming up for this 2025-2026 season for all of the leagues with a notification on your phone saying, hey, No Biz fam just dropped another one. So while you do that, like and subscribe. I'll go ahead and cheers you with this caipirinha. Ding. And cheers.
We'll get started here because what we're going to do today is talk about the Bundesliga teams, how they did last season, where we think they're going to end up this season. And if you're wondering why we left out the two teams that are being promoted into the Bundesliga, that's in another episode. We did all of the back to school, if you will, the new teams coming into the top four leagues that we cover. They're all there. So you'll see Köln and Hamburg that are in that episode. So with that said, I think it's time, Vic. Let's go to Germany.
Let's do it. To Bundesliga. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I miss that little tune.
I know. It's just like thinking
that. But we will go ahead and start off our breakdown in ABC order. And the first one we're going to talk about is Augsburg. Augsburg, I'm getting a little nervous, finished 12th last season. They had 35 goals for, which was actually 15 less than they had the year prior. Tied for 15th overall in the season last season. And 51 goals against, which is actually 9 less than they had. So defense stepped it up just a little bit. And it was also tied for 7th last year. And Snooze laughing is not a good sign.
No, they are 12th. They are 12th. That's why I'm laughing.
Good.
So Augsburg last season, they came into last season as a relegation candidate and started the season losing 8 of their first 16 games, losing half of their games. But they went on a run from mid-January through my notes right here, through March without losing a single game. And they won 6 of 11. So it felt like they had turned a corner, but they ended the season without a win in their final 5 matches and lost 4 straight. So the question is, did they take their foot off the gas knowing they were safe, they were staying up, or is that really a team that is poised to struggle going forward? And they didn't have Europe last season. I don't know why I have that in here. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No worries. Well, Sandro Wagner is their coach. He's a German, just signed this past summer, so I'm pretty sure he's going to hope that they're not poised to struggle this season. But tell us a little bit more about him.
Yeah, after finishing 12th last season, Augsburg parted ways with Jess Thorup and brought in Wagner. I'm pretty sure the Germans call it. I don't know. Wagner. He just retired back. He just retired back in 2020 and played all over the Bundesliga, last with Bayern. So, I mean, he's a player as of 5 years ago. And this will be the 37-year-old's first gig as a head manager at this level of football. So interesting. They do that a lot in the Bundesliga. A lot of young coaches there.
Yeah, that's come up a few times for City A as well. But looking at their key players from last season, their top scorer was Alexis Claude Maurice. He's a 27-year-old attacking midfielder from France. He had 9 goals last season with 3 assists. And your assist leader for the season last year was Jeffrey Gawiliu.
I have no idea.
Gawiliu, I think is how you say his name. Please let us know. Spell it out phonetically down in the comments how that's spelled. He's a 32-year-old center back Dutch center back, and he had 4 assists last season.
From the Netherlands, Dutch Netherlands. It's weird how that anyway, the same thing. Players to watch. So most of the top guys ranked on their squad are defensive, and the center back that they just brought in from Monaco, Matsima, very highly rated, but telling you a center back is the best part of a team to watch, probably not that you want to hear me say. Looks like their odds are missing from my notes here. So we're just going to talk about the notes. The word on the street, man, we're starting off hot right now. Bookies have them fighting for their Bundesliga lives, and the way they ended the last 5 games without a win and 4 straight losses should be no surprise. As I mentioned earlier, losing Demirovic last year was a huge hit as they scored 15 goals less than they did the prior year with him. And though they still haven't brought in a true replacement, they brought in a bunch of help on the defensive side, but they were already middle of the pack in that regard. I think they're going to struggle to stay up this season. No offensive players coming in, new coach hasn't done it at this level. I don't know, I don't like the vibes around them this season. One thing I do like though is their kits. Of course, they have the Christmas colors, but look at their home and away, just like clean kits. I like them.
That is a bold red on that away kit,
right?
As well.
Right.
That is a bold red. Looks like a stop sign, but good luck to them next season. We will see, and it's getting pretty close, guys. It's almost here. It's almost here, but we'll go ahead and move forward with one of our favorite named teams last year because of what we call them, never losing, Leverkusen, Bayer Leverkusen. Last year, they finished 2nd overall. They had 72 goals for last season, which was actually 17 less than they had, 2nd best in the league. And they also had 43 goals against, which was 19 less. Which was tied for 3rd on the season.
Yeah, and Leverkusen last season, I feel like they were always going to struggle to hit the heights they did in the 23-24 season, the title-winning campaign, but finishing 2nd in the Bundesliga and then also getting to the round of 16 in the Champions League. That's a good season for Leverkusen. I think the only sour taste left in their mouth is the fact that Bayern took the title back, and they also lost to Bayern in the knockout rounds of the Champions League. So, yeah, that's probably going to piss some people off over there in Leverkusen.
Yeah, pretty tough. And joining this summer is the Dutchman, Erik ten Hag. Tell us a little bit more about Erik ten Hag.
Yeah, so Ten Hag, I mean, I feel like we've all seen that name before, at least if you watch a little bit of the Prem. The worst kept secret ever coming to fruition. Xabi Alonso leaves Leverkusen to take the Real Madrid gig, and in place steps Ten Hag. Last we saw him, he was run out of Manchester, but took some time off last season and is now taking over a very exciting project in Leverkusen, but we'll have to see how he does because I think they already lost to like a Botafogo under 19s team or something like that, like 5-0 or something crazy. So anyways, it's preseason. We'll see how they did. In the European competitions last season, though, as you recall, they were in the Champions League. They were the German. So they were German champions. So obviously they made it into the round of 16, but I mean, we just talked about it. They get bounced by Bayern Munich. It's not a good sign for them this season. All things, they kind of look a little different for them, but they'll still be right back in the Champions League.
Yes, sir. And taking a look, excuse me, their top scorer that they had last season was Patrick Schick, the 29-year-old center forward from he's Czech. He's Chechnya, right? Chechnya.
Yeah,
Chechnya. Yeah. Had 21 goals last season. And their assist leader last season is Florian Little Uzi Wirtz, the 22-year-old German attacking midfielder, had 13 assists. He'll probably have more this next season coming up somewhere, wherever he's at. But we'll see.
Wherever he's at. We don't know where he's at, huh? And the player to watch for them is one Malik Tillman, a 23-year-old German-American attacking midfielder. Last season, 16 goals and 5 assists across all competitions with PSV. And this one seems pretty straightforward. He's a generational. They lose a generational talent in Wirtz. Spend $35 million to bring in another talented attacking midfielder, and hopefully he comes good. Because if he doesn't, there can be problems. Some of the odds for them to win the Bundesliga, they're plus 700, right behind Bayern Munich, and to finish top 4, they're right there, minus 475. So, I mean, obviously they're expecting them to have a good season. They won't be relegated, so they don't even have, we won't even talk about the odds for that. But looking at this team, the word on the street, they have the second best odds to win the Bundesliga, and we can't just schedule that in because because of where they've been in the past 2 years. Everything is different about this team. They've lost a bunch of their top players. They've lost their head manager that was doing it. Frimpong, Todd, they're gone. I mean, look at the clubs around them. Dortmund, they're starting to look better and play better. They were horrible for about 85% of the season, but they got it done. Leipzig, they're going to be sellers. I mean, I just there's a lot of confusion on what the top end of this table in the Bundesliga is going to look like. So yes, Leverkusen have a ton of questions, but so do all the clubs around them. I don't want to say that I can definitively say they're going to be second in this league. I definitely can tell you, though, that I feel strongly that Bayern Munich will win it again, and they'll be close to being behind them. So that's how I feel about Leverkusen.
Yeah, and the finish second, hopefully trying to keep that as well. Again, like you said, I don't think they're going to beat Bayern Munich because they are actually the next team we are going to talk about right now. Bayern Munich actually finished first last season, of course, taking home the championship. They had, right, my bad, yeah. Got it. We back. Sorry, we had a sun problem. Our little ray of sunshine had a ray of sunshine on him, on his face. We took care of that. And we will keep soldiering on because the next team we are going to talk about is Bayern Munich. Last year, of course, they won the championship. They had 99 goals for, which was 5 more than they had the previous year and the best in the league, and also had 32 goals against, which even though they gave up 13 more goals than the year before, is still best in the league. So number 1 in goals for, number 1 in goals against. That's championship material all around.
Yeah, and coming into the season, though, there were questions over the hiring of the new manager, Vincent Kompany, and all his Bayern team did was absolutely dominate the Bundesliga and get to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Typically, the minimum for Bayern is winning the league. That's expected, but the main focus was hoisting the Champions League trophy, or it should be. But because of how the coach is coming in and coming over from a Burnley side that were relegated, like we didn't really know much. But looking at how how the season coming up is going to be, there's going to be a lot of different expectations. But as far as last season goes, I think what Kompany was able to achieve was spot on, was perfect for this team. Last season in Germany, I pressed the wrong button. They weren't really expected to push for the Champions League title. Like we just talked about that, because I think in general, if they got to the round of 16 and kind of pushed further than that, that would be cool. I'm not a Bayern fan, so I can't say with authority that is true, but it just felt that way. And they did just that because they defeated their rivals Bayer Leverkusen in the round of 16. And then eventually they were bounced by the final attendees, Inter Milan. And yes, they were the German champs, so they will be in the Champions League again next season.
Yes, sir. And Vincent Kompany was hired on just last year, did really well. I don't think anybody was expecting him to do that well. No. And of course, their top scorer from last season, one of the key players, was Harry Kane, your boy Snooze. Harry Kane had 26 goals last season, the 30-year-old center forward Englishman, and also 10 assists to add to it. The assist leader for Bayern Munich was Michael Olise, or Olise. I don't know. He's French.
Olise.
So Olise, yeah. The 23-year-old right winger, of course, from France, had 18 assists and 12 goals. All-star numbers, if I've ever heard of myself. Yeah.
Right. And that's why he's our player to watch for this Bayern team. With Musiala out for the foreseeable future after that brutal leg break or whatever it was in the Club World Cup, Bayern will once again turn to Olise and Kane to make the difference. I mean, Olise's first season was ridiculous. Like, there's no other way to put it. 18 assists and 12 goals. That's crazy. Can he do it again, though? And now that he's going to be expected to do it again, will he deliver? Bayern are going to need him to, and they have a lot on the line. Maybe Musiala comes back later in the season, but he will be him, and Harry Kane, of course, will be the talisman for this side. Now, to win the Bundesliga, they are minus 340, which essentially means they are spot-on favorites. They, of course, bring in Jonathan Tah, Tom Bischoff, Paul Vonner. They bring in Brian Zaragoza, like so many players over to their side. Oh, sorry, Brian Zaragoza is not the name that I meant to say there. But they did lose Matthias Tell on a permanent over to Spurs. They lost Eric Dyer. They lost Leroy Sané. They lost Thomas Muller. So, I mean, there's just a lot going on up and down as far as the departures and arrivals. But word on the street, though, for them, with all the changes that are taking place over in Leverkusen, Bayern are heavy favorites to go back-to-back in the Bundesliga. Of course, we just talked about it. They lose a lot of players. They add some players, which maybe defensively they'll be better. They're going to be missing Musiala, but maybe they can take care of it. I think the Bundesliga is a lock for this team, but it's going to be really about gearing up for the European run and getting into that Champions League final and hopefully bringing home a trophy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We will see. Going to be pretty fun to watch. And again, can't say it enough. Season's about to start, man. We're almost there. You're almost there.
I know.
But we will keep moving forward with my number 3 best team name to say in this league, Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund is the next team we're going to be talking about. They finished 4th last season. They had 71 goals for, which was 3rd best in the league, and also 3 more than they had the league prior, or the year prior. And they had 51 goals against, which was 7th best in the league, and also 8 more than they had the year before.
And summing up Dortmund's season is kind of hard because there was a lot of different factors to it. There's really only 2 stats that need to be read, though. The first one is they had 11 losses in the past this past Bundesliga campaign, which is the most losses they've had since 2014-2015. So 11 losses, a lot for them. The other piece of info you need to know is that they ended the season winning 7 of their last 8 matches and got 22 points from those matches, which is just crazy. And of course, that's why they end with 57 and get into the Champions League. So needless to say, they were a disappointing team for about 90% of the season, 95%, but they still found a way to get into the top 4. Last season, they were in the Champions League. They beat Lille in the round of 16, and then they were bounced by Barca in the quarterfinals. And because of that magical run of the end of the season, they will, in fact, be in the Champions League.
Yes, sir. And since January of this year, they have had Niko Kovac, the German, as a head coach. Tell us a little bit more about Niko Kovac.
So he took over for Nuri Sahin, who was sacked back in January of this year. And it was rough early days for Kovac, but he got them playing right and in the top 4 and also did well in the Club World Cup. So, hey, all signs are pointing up for the Dortmund squad.
Yes, sir. And their key players that they had, the top scorer from last season was Serhou Guirassy. Siru. Yeah. Oh, there we go.
I got you.
I'm used to just being IRO when it's like something like that. But Serhou Guirassy, the 29-year-old center forward from New Guinea or just Guinea, I don't know. He scored 21 goals last season. Pretty good. And the assist leader that they had, there was 2 of them actually, Pascal Gross and Julian Brandt. I think I'm adding in rolling an R on there. I'm sorry, but just whatever. They both had 10 assists last season. When you have 2 players with 10 assists, you're definitely spreading that ball around. It's pretty good.
Whoa. Joe Bellingham is the player to watch. 19-year-old center midfielder comes over from England, comes over from Sunderland following his older brother's footsteps and opting not to play in the Prem. All eyes will be on him because they're going to need him to be the marquee signing that his brother was. Maybe not at the same level, but yes, he'll need to be good for them if they're going to take the next step. To win the Bundesliga, they are a plus 800 right behind Bayern and Leverkusen. So they're right up there. And of course, word on the street, this one's kind of hard to gauge because odd makers have seem to think that they will be the third best team in the Bundesliga. But we just talked about how last year they went from not good to good, just randomly, like really quick. Kovac comes in, struggled at first. He's kind of got to give a break though, because the team they were building on fire. He's running into it. And the way they ended the season, it's kind of what we all tend to just think they are now. It feels like there's some momentum on their side though. They do lose Gittins, but he wasn't really a mainstay anyway. Leverkusen have a lot of turnover, and I don't know. I just feel like maybe they're going to be getting up to that second spot. I'm not saying they're going to give Bayern a run for their money, but if it happens, I wouldn't be terribly surprised the way that this team has finished the season and then played in the Club World Cup. I don't know. I'm high on them. It's kind of like the Roma from the episode prior. Mm-hmm. I'm high on Dortmund this year.
Yes, sir. We will see. We'll see. And we will go from the third best team that I like to say to the number 1 team I like to say. And that is Borussia Mönchengladbach. That is so fun and just long, so you get to say it for a longer period of time. But they finished in the middle of the table last season, number 10. They had 55 goals for, which was tied 7th best and still 1 less than they had the year prior. And they had 57 goals against, which was actually 10 less than they had the year before, but it's still tied for 13th overall.
And Gladbach's 10th place finish feels right because if they had a mediocre season overall, coming from 14th and close to relegation in 23-24, mid-table, hey, that's fine. Take that. No, don't be in the relegation zone, right? But I'm seeing a trend with these mid-table teams in the Bundesliga where once they know they were safe, the results started to slip because Gladbach, they didn't win any of their final 7 matches. And they lost 5 of those 7. So we kind of run that question again. Was it just they were safe and they kind of let their foot off the gas, or is this team really not that good? We'll find out. And they weren't in Europe last season because they finished so badly.
All good. And with 2 years under his belt is Gerardo Sioni. That's it. Sioni.
Oh, that's a Swiss name. I don't know.
Yeah, Swiss name. I'm not sure how those accent marks go.
Yeah.
He's had 2 years under his belt, looking to add a third. But tell us a little bit more about him.
The thing about Sioni, how do you say that? Sioni? They haven't finished above 10th since he's been in charge. And it really just depends on the club aspirations. But you would think that this would be a make or break season for him as he's trying to bring that club above mid-table for sure, but trying to get into Europe as well.
Yes, sir. And from last season, one of their key players, their top scorer, is Tim Kleindienst. Kleindienst. He's a 29-year-old center forward from Germany, of course. He has 16 goals and 9 assists. And your assist leader was Tim Kleindienst, but also Frank Honorat. Both had 9 assists on the season.
Yes, and player to watch. We just got to keep with this theme here. Tim Kleindienst, in the first season of Gladbach, coming over from Heidenheim. Kleindienst didn't disappoint. Going from 12 goals with double H, we call him Heidenheim, to 21 with Gladbach, and going from 5 assists to 9. They definitely struck gold with that signing, and hopefully he can keep tearing it up for them. And if so, maybe Gladbach can do a little bit better. The odds have them finishing around mid-table, and they finished there last season. So why wouldn't they be? Word on the street for them, though, I just don't see a problem with that. They'll probably finish mid-table. What we do know is that nothing in the squad has changed a ton. But they did lose Alisson Playa, who had been with them for years. He scored a lot of important goals for them. Now, he wasn't the most dynamic player anymore, but he was an important one for them. And we also know that Gerardo, who's never coached, higher than the 10th place finish. So why would we expect anything other than that? And I do like their home and away kits, if you see this, Vic.
Yeah, I do. They're white and green. It's crazy because Borussia Mönchengladbach, I saw one of their hoodies. It was green. I was like, at an Austin FC game, is what I'm saying. It's weird to see a Borussia Mönchengladbach hoodie in an Austin FC game in the United States. So I thought it was pretty cool, but that explains it. They have a green away kit, I think. So, yeah. But going on, we're going to go to the second best team that I like to say, and it's just because it's a little harder to say, but it's Eintracht Frankfurt. Eintracht Frankfurt, or just Frankfurt, finished 3rd last season. They had 68 goals for, which was 17 better than they had the year before, and it had them 4th overall in the season last year. And they had 46 goals against, which was 4 less than they had the year prior, and 5th best overall in the season.
And they finished, of course, like we just said, in 3rd for the 2nd time in their history, which is one of the highest finishes in the Bundesliga ever for them. All of this, and they lost their main talisman in Omar Marmoush in the winter transfer window, and now they lose Ekitike to take the reins. Oh, they had Ekitike to take the reins, but they don't have him anymore. But there was, he was a different player. He still affected the game, but losing Marmoush, I thought would be much of a bigger impact, and it wasn't. They did pretty good. Besides a 3-game skid in February, March timeframe, they were consistently good and by far the 3rd best team in the Bundesliga. Last season, they were in the quarterfinals of the Europa League, and they were knocked out by one Tottenham Hotspur, finishing 3rd in the Bundesliga, though does get them back into the Europe and in the Champions League this time around.
Yes, sir. And they have 2 years under his belt, Dino Topmoller, I believe is how you say. The German has been their head coach, and tell us a little bit more about his 3rd season.
This will be, 3rd season, of course, with Frankfurt, and they just signed him to an extension. So obviously they like what Topmoller's doing over there in Frankfurt. They've improved their standing each year since he's joined them, going from 6th to 3rd last season. And I'm excited to see what they do this season.
Yes, sir. We will see. And for their key players last year, Eintracht Frankfurt fans, cover your ears because their top scorers from last year were Hugo Iketeke, and Omar Marmoush. Both scored 15 goals for them last season. And Marmoush didn't even play from the entire season. So pretty incredible to see. Their assist leader from last season, they were also, or Marmoush was the assist leader as well with 10 assists. What a player.
Yeah, and I know what a player. Then he left. So
yeah,
but the player to watch for them coming into this year is Jonathan Burkhardt, 25-year-old center forward from Germany. He's got 18 goals and 3 assists last season with Mainz. And Frankfurt seems to always hit on forwards. They took Mainz's top scorer, and he'll probably go win the Golden Boot or something like that because it just always seems to work out for forwards over there in Frankfurt, wingers, forwards, whatever, attacking players. So keep an eye on him this season. He might be a very important part of that team. And to win the Bundesliga, their odds are plus 4,000, 5th best odds in the league. And they brought in a lot of money because they've sold Omar Marmoush and Hugo Ekitike for big money. So, of course, they have money to spend. Now, word on the street, I'm going to try to get this one quick, but this one is pretty intriguing. Odds have them falling down a bit from 3rd to 5th with expectations that Dortmund and Leipzig have a bounce back year. But this is a tough one for me to call because on one hand, in one season, they are losing their top 2 goal scorers and their assist leader in Omar Marmoush Ekitike, as we just talked about. They made damn near $200 million from just those 2 sales alone. Sitting with a fat stack of cash, though, doesn't make them contenders or any better on the pitch. But the track record of them finding goal scorers is hard to ignore. They always seem to find the next big European guy, and that may just be Burkhardt, who was awesome with Mainz last season. And if Dino Topmuller can get them going quickly, we might be able to see Frankfurt hit the ground running and surprise some of those teams in the top 4. I think the odds have them, obviously I said it has them 3rd to 5th. I think that maybe a bit too low. I'm thinking they'll probably end up at minimum 4th place, maybe pushing a little further with the little continuity there. If Burkhardt, he's the key if he hits the ground running next season.
Yeah, we will see. We'll see. It's going to be fun times. And again, can't say enough. Season starting soon. But we will keep going ahead. Our next team we had to talk about alphabetically is Cologne, but we already went over that in the Welcome to the League episode that we had. So go take a look at that one. And we will move on to SC Freiburg. Freiburg finished 5th last season. They had 49 goals against, tied for the 11th best in the league. It's also 4 more than they had the year before. And also they gave up 53 goals, which was 5 less than they had the year prior.
And this is one team that I got completely wrong last year. My prediction for them going to last season was that they would struggle and slip down the table significantly. But, I mean, you can't blame me because they lost longtime head coach Christian Streich, and he retired and promoted the first team. They promoted to the first team Julian Schuster, who was essentially his right-hand man. But Schuster took over, and they didn't skip a beat. First half of the season was a bit stop and start, but they ended up winning. And second half of the season was really streaky for them. 4 wins in a row, followed by 3 draws in a row, then 2 losses, followed by 3 straight wins. They just kind of streaked around. But, I mean, those wins stack up at the end of the season. Ultimately, they could have finished in the Champions League spots, but Dortmund got the last one. And, they lose out to Eintracht Frankfurt for the Europa League spot last week of the season. And, it's all up for the Black Forest boys.
Yes, we will see. We'll see. And as you said, Julian Schuster, the German, just started off last year, 2024. Had a great first season. Looking forward to see how he fares with the second season with Freiburg. Also, the key players that they've had, top scorer from last season is Ritsu Don. He's Don, right? Just Don. Yeah.
I guess Japanese. I don't know how you would pronounce that. Like,
Don.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. 27-year-old right winger. Again, as you said, Japanese, had 10 goals and 8 assists on the season. And their assist leader from last season is Vincenzo Grifo. The 32-year-old left-wing Italian had 11 assists and 8 goals to tack on to that.
And Ritsu is the player to watch. I'm just calling him Ritsu. Why not? That's a cool first name. He's one of the best Japanese players in the world right now, and the dude's electric. He's fun to watch. If you're watching Freiburg, you'll definitely see him making some plays. I don't know the best way to put that. He'll be doing something that'll be like, damn, that's cool. The odds for this Freiburg team, they're a plus 15,000, which means that they're probably going to finish between 6 and 10. So the word on the street for this team, odds have them finishing right above mid-table after their fifth place finish last season. And while I think they may have overachieved and taken advantage of some of the clubs historically that are in the top kind of slipping up last year, I just think that another push to finish in the top 4 is possible for this Freiburg side. They already proved they have a good team and that the manager is for real. I just feel like maybe I'm drinking that Schuster Kool-Aid because of how much I underestimated him last year. But yeah, I just feel some positive vibes for the Black Forest boys, as I call them. And I am possibly actually pretty sure going to see a Bundesliga match against for them against Dortmund this season. So maybe that's why I'm excited to see them. But yeah, that I feel pretty confident that they can be a little bit better than the mid-table where they're saying. So that's how I feel.
You heard it. We have a boots on the ground for Freiburg Dortmund. You already heard it right here. He will be reporting from there, and we will keep moving forward on this review. The next team we had is Hamburger, but again, we went over that on the last episode, the Say Hi to the New Guys episode, so go take a look at that. That's the last plug. I promise we're done. We will go ahead and move on to Double H, as Snoo says, Heidenheim. Heidenheim finished just above relegation last year. They finished 16th. They had 37 goals for, which was 13 less than they had the year prior, and 64 goals against, which was 9 more than they had the year before.
And Heidenheim, they started the season and they had a ton of hope and excitement going into it, but everything went horribly wrong for them. Double H finished 8th in the previous season and qualified for Europe for the first time ever. And this season they finished 16th and had to win in the relegation playoff to stay up. So last season they were in the Conference League and they got into the knockout rounds, but they were bounced by Copenhagen, and they will not be there this season because they barely stayed up in the Bundesliga in the first place.
Yeah. So we'll see. Not we will see, but the coach that they have is Frank Schmidt, and they've always had, it seems like, because they've been there since we graduated high school. So 2007, we graduated in 2006, but still it's back there. He's German, obviously. And tell us a little bit more about Frank Schmidt.
I mean, this guy is the longest tenured manager for a single club in German football history. He's still going too. So this guy's setting records. I just hit 20 years, right? Might as well stay a couple more seasons, a solid 2-0 on that thing. So
yeah, we thought Pep Guardiola was a lot, and he was just there from 2016. So 2007, impressive. But the key players, the top scorer they had last season is Marvin Pieringer. Right, Pieringer. He had 7 goals and 5 assists. A 25-year-old German center forward. And with those 5 assists, he was also the assist leader for Double H Heidenheim. And not only that, he's a player to watch as well. Tell us a little bit more about Marvin Pieringer.
Honestly, there's not a whole lot to say about this guy other than the fact that if you're seeing Heidenheim, he's probably going to be the main person banging in the goals. I mean, creating anything on that team. There wasn't a lot to create, unfortunately, last season. So the odds for them this year, 50,000 plus 50,000 to win it, which means they're not winning it, to finish top 4 plus 8,000. That tells you a lot about this team, which is essentially they're going to be fighting for their Bundesliga lives. Word on the street, understandably, they're one of the heavy favorites to go down, as they were almost down this past year. They had a terrible season all around. And I mean, it's hard to pinpoint a reason why and what can change to save them. But the only saving grace is that they don't have European football this time around, so they should be able to get better results as they can kind of save their resources, have better stamina, keep players fresh. But I don't think there's going to be 2 teams having as bad a season as Kiel and Bochum did last term. So I feel like this is maybe the time that they do go down. I feel like.
Yes. We'll see it. And that is it for Heidenheim Double H. And we'll go to the next team, which has a very similar name, Hoffenheim. Hoffenheim finished 15th, just above Heidenheim last season. They had 46 goals for, which was 13th best in the league, but still 20 less than they had the year before. And they have 68 goals against, which was 2 more than they had the season prior, but also 17th worst in the league.
And much like Heidenheim, they had a great 23-24 season, got into Europe, and then they crapped the bed this past season. So, I mean, that's all we can say, really. There's not a lot going on for Hoffenheim. They played in the Europa League, but they didn't make the knockout rounds, and that was it for Hoffenheim.
Yeah, and their coach is Christian Ilse, the Austrian. He just got hired just before the new year, November 2024. Tell us a little bit more about Christian Ilse.
Well, if you remember going into the season, they started with Matarazzo, but he was sacked in November, and things didn't get much better under Ilzer. They did stay up, so maybe that was the goal, and he did that. So there you go.
Good on him. And the key players that they had from last season, the top scorer was Andrej Kramaric. Yeah.
Andre Kramaric.
There we go. He's a 34-year-old Croatian attacking midfielder, had 11 goals last season, and their top assist leader was also Andrej Kramaric. He's with 8 assists, led the team as well. So for their team anyway, all-star numbers. Good job, you.
And player to watch for them is Adam Locek of Czech. He's a Czech 23-year-old. Hey, Locek, Czech. That's not a good transition there. But anyway, but he's a 23-year-old. He had 8 goals and 3 assists for them. And Locek, he didn't have a great first season with Hoffenheim since moving over from Leverkusen. But he's going to have to get it going if Hoffenheim are wanting to get back up the table. And I feel like after last season getting 8 goals, 3 assists, he can definitely improve those numbers and help this team stay up. And I mean, not just stay up, but like not even be in the fight. Come on, let's do this Hoffenheim. To win the Bundesliga, their odds plus 50,000. To finish in the top 4, plus 1,800. They didn't have the relegation odds. Obviously, they would be higher or better odds to be relegated than these numbers right here. But word on the street for this Hoffenheim side, odds have them finishing somewhere between 10 and 12 in the table, and expecting a bit of a bounce back. Well, yeah, from 15th to 10th or 12th. They were the second worst defensive team in the league last season, and they went out and bought 2 defensive mids and a center back to help plug that gap. They also scored 20 total goals less than they did the season prior, so they're hoping that Locek comes around and helps bang in some more goals this campaign. I can actually see both of these things happening and them improving towards that mid-table. They typically aren't a team that's scrapping in the relegation, and I feel like they're probably going to take a step and go towards that mid-table. 10 to 12 if in the odds eyes. I'm good with that. I can see that happening. For some reason when I look at their kits, I was kind of pulling up different things. These things are like skin tight. So if you want to see some skin tight German football, go check this out, because I don't know, like why are these that tight? It doesn't make sense.
It's that base layer Under Armour kit.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But yeah, Hoffenheim, we will see next season. Time will tell if they get relegated or not. And we will move forward with one of the surprise teams from last year, Mainz. Mainz finished 6th last season. They had 55 goals for, which was 16 better than they had the year prior, and tied for 7th overall on the in the table. And they had 43 goals against, which was tied for 3rd best in the league, and also 8 less goals than they gave up the year before.
Yeah, they were just impressive last season. It was awesome. Mine scored more, they let in less, and doubled the amount of wins they had in the 23-24 season. So they plus they finished 6th and get into the Europa League at the same time. I mean, they barely missed out on the Champions League spots. That's how good Mainz was last season. This was the most surprising team for us in the 24-25 year, and I can hopefully say that they're going to be doing better, even though we'll talk about in a second, they lost a huge piece of that team.
Yes, sir. And they're coached by Bo Henriksen, the Danishman. And he's just been there. Last year was his first season. Tell us a little bit more about his first season.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say more about how impressive it was in his first going from 13th to 6th. And at one point, he was 3rd in the table. That Bo Henriksen, he might be the real deal. Maybe we'll have to find out, because he definitely lost some key players. But if they can stick with him and he ends up being what he showed last season, could be some good stuff in the future.
Yes, sir. And speaking of losing key players, their key players from last year, the top scorer was Jonathan Burkhardt. The German 25-year-old center forward had 18 goals and tacked on 3 assists to go with him. The assist leader that they had last season was Jae-Sung Lee. The 32-year-old South Korean attacking midfielder had 8 assists along with 7 goals.
And the player to watch for this Mainz side going into this next year is Paul Niebel, 22-year-old German attacking midfielder. He had 10 goals and 6 assists last season. But last season was his first year up in the bigs with Mainz, and he was balling. I mean, 10 goals and 6 assists. That seems like numbers for a player that's established. And I mean, this is the 2nd highest goal scorer, the 3rd highest in assists. This team was running through Paul Niebel, however you want to say it. And he's a big part of the reason why I think they could take another step. The odds for them to win the Bundesliga plus 15,000, the odds to finish in the top 4 plus 1,200. So probably not both of those things, but they could be fighting just underneath that, because the word on the street, Mainz are expected to finish somewhere between 6 and 10, and the bookies have them finishing above mid-table, but how far will kind of depend on how they take a step without Burkhardt, because I'm all in for them finishing, I think I'm pretty high on this team too. I feel like they're going to be a little bit higher up, finishing in the European places. They will have European football though to worry about next season. And so you see what happens with teams like Hoffenheim and Double H last year in the league. They get into Europe, maybe they slip down in the table a bit. But the second thing is they lost their well, we just talked about it. They lost their golden boot. Well, he was second in the golden boot race, Jonathan Burkhardt, and they replaced him with Benedict Hollabach from Union Berlin. And hopefully he was their top scorer. So hopefully he can be the top scorer again for Mainz. But man, 18 goals is a lot of goals to replace. So we'll see if they can do that. But if they can, it'll be awesome. And actually, because we're flying into Frankfurt, Mainz is like a 20-minute train ride from there. And there's no game in Frankfurt whenever we're there. Mainz will be another team that I'm hoping to see. I can't remember who they're playing, but yeah. So funny enough, the teams that I'm going to see are the ones that I'm high on, Vic. Is that a bias?
Imagine that. Any kind of bias there? I have no idea. No idea. But Mainz were a great story last season, and they're hoping to repeat that. And again, might have a boots on the ground for the Mainz game at that time. But we will soldier on because the next team we are going to talk about is RB Leipzig, or just Leipzig, whatever you want. Leipzig finished 7th last year. They had 53 goals for, which was right in the middle of the table, 10th best. They had, which was actually 24 less than they had the year prior, and they had 40. Yeah, 24 is incredible amount to not score one season after another. So that sucks. But they also had 48 goals against, which was 9 more than they had the year before.
So all around disappointing season for Leipzig, and they were our most disappointing season team of the season. They were it was their lowest, 7th is their lowest finish in the Bundesliga since they were promoted back in 2016, 2017. They'll have no European competitions this season and most likely have to be selling off some pieces. I keep saying that, but we're getting, I mean, we have a month left in the transfer window and none of them have been sold, but Sesko and Simmons are definitely on people's lists. So we'll see if they stay. Last season, though, they did finish 32 of 36 teams in the Champions League phase table, whatever you want to call it, and they crashed out of the league phase, and they will not be back this season, as I just told you.
Yes, sir. And just signed this summer from Werder Bremen is the German Ole Werner. That's a great name, Ole Werner.
I think it's Ollie or something, but Ole Werner sounds good.
Ole Werner. Ollie Werner.
Yeah, Ole Werner over there. Werner.
I'll definitely call him Ole Werner for sure. But he will be taking over from the sacked Marco Rose. Anything to add on that before we move on, as I ask you when you take a sip?
No, we're good.
Well, their key players that they had from last season, the top scorer was Benjamin Sesko, the 22-year-old Slovenian center forward, had 13 goals along with 5 assists. And their assist leader was Lois Opinda, the Belgian 25-year-old center forward, had 9 goals and also 9 assists, with that being their lead assist. Sister. There you go.
Sister is what I keep hearing. Yeah. The player to watch for them is Johan Bakayoko, the 22-year-old Belgian right winger coming over from PSV this summer. And a lot of teams were in on him. You heard a lot about him going to bigger and better things. But we know how Leipzig attackers fare. They're usually really good. And if Sesko and Simmons stay, all 3 of them could be a lot of fun to watch. Their odds to win the Bundesliga plus 1,400, which is the 4th best odds to finish in the top 4. They're a favorite to end in the top 4 with a minus 115. And word on the street for this team, I think you can see it by the numbers. They think they're going to have a bounce back year. And that's because, I mean, none of the rumor stars have left yet. We just talked about it. If they leave, maybe that changes. But they brought in a couple of pieces: Bakayoko, Diamande from Leganes, Vermeeren from Atleti, and man, they're all good additions. And maybe they're not replacements. Maybe they're just additions, and that would be really cool for them. Biggest issue they had last year was they scored, like we talked about, 24 less goals than the year prior. So maybe good old Werner will help them get right, but we'll have to find out. The squad at the moment, though, is too good to finish outside the 4 or 6 range.
Yes, sir. We say good luck to you, Ole Werner. And we will move forward to the next team that we are going to talk about for the 2025-2026 season, and that is St. Pauli. St. Pauli finished just above relegation last year at the number 14 spot. They had 28 goals for, and actually 18th best, which was dead last in the season last year. But they had a pretty good defense, 41 goals against, which was second best. So give and take there for sure.
Yeah, and yeah, right. Such a drastic difference. That is insane. And St. Pauli stayed up, and all the hype and everything that comes with this team. I feel like that was pretty much all about you, all that you could expect from them, and they did it. They stayed up. So cool. Well, let's see if they can improve on that this season.
Yeah, and their coach is the German Alexander Blessin.
Blessin.
Yeah, he's been there again since last year. Tell us a little bit more about him.
He kept them up in his first season with the team, and I think they're going to be in the Bundesliga for a couple seasons, I feel like. And I feel like he's part of this, the reason they did, because if you recall, going into the last season, which is their first Bundesliga campaign in a while, they had Fabian Hösler, who ended up going to Brighton, and now they switch over to Blessin, and he keeps them there. So, we'll see how it ends up being, but for right now, Blessin is a good coach. What it looks like. Anyway.
We will see. Almost there. And the key players that they had, the top scorer from last season. Oh man, help me out. Here we go. Was Morgan Giolavogi.
Hey, sure. Yeah.
The 27-year-old French / Ghanaian right winger had 6 goals along with 2 assists. Again, 6 goals as your leading scorer. Didn't score a lot, but 2 assists.
Yeah, this next one's easier for you though.
Yeah, this next one, the assist leader that they had last season is Jackson Irvine, 32-year-old Australian center midfielder, had 5 assists.
Yeah, much easier name for us. But the player to watch, there's an American on the team, so you know what that means. James Sands, a 25-year-old American defensive midfielder, and he was on loan from New York FC last season. And when the Americans are there, we will watch them. I can't say anything more than that because I didn't really get to watch them too much for this team. To win the Bundesliga, plus 50,000, to finish in the top 4, plus 6,500, which is the second worst, which means that they're odds of staying up aren't great. Odds. Let's talk about the words on the street. Bookies do not have St. Pauli survival chances very high for their second campaign in the Bundesliga this time around. And a weird standoff with the French club Lens sends their top goal scorer Morgan G back to Lens. And I'll tell you what they meant. So he was on loan from it's Lens, but it sounds weird when I say it. But anyway, he was on loan at St. Pauli from Lens. They triggered the option to buy. It was a loan with option to buy. So they triggered that. But also in that same contract, Lens had an option to pretty much reverse it. They could do like a bring back clause, and they pulled that. So it's like he was loaned to them. They triggered the option. Then they're like, actually, we want him back. So he goes away. And so now one of the worst scoring clubs in the Bundesliga gets worse at that point. So I don't know, just weird stuff all the way around. I think that staying up will be hard for St. Pauli this season.
Yeah, I kind of agree, but we kind of want them to, or maybe not, because I do want to go visit their stadium. They have a beautiful area as well. And if they're in the club below, the league below, might be cheaper tickets. We'll see. Yeah. But we will go ahead and move on because the next team we're going to talk about is VfB Stuttgart. Stuttgart had a little bit of a stumble as they finished 9th last year. They gave up 14 more goals and scored 14 less goals on the season. They had 64 goals for and 53 goals against last year, which is still not bad. Top of the table ish for as far as like compared to the rest of the teams, but again, not far or not very good from where they were 2 years ago. Yeah,
weird season for them because Stuttgart. It was always going to be tough for them to repeat the success of the 23-24 season, which they finished second and got into the Champions League. But finishing mid-table in the Bundesliga and winning the DFB Pokal in the process, I think that still counts as a good season for them. They didn't get out of the league phase in the Champions League, but they did beat Juve in Turin, so that's pretty cool for them. They will be in the Europa League due to winning the DFB Pokal this next season.
Yes, sir. And they're coached by the German Sebastian. I think that's an S. They have that Hoeneß, right? Yeah. Okay, I was right. Yeah, for 2 years. And tell us a little bit more about him coming up for his 3rd year.
Even in a down year with Seb Hoeneß, it was still successful for them. He's a top managerial candidate for most of the big German clubs. And the fact that he's sticking with Stuttgart for another season, I think that bodes well for them.
Let's see. And their key players that they had, the top scorer from last season is Emredin Demirovic. There we go. I'm thinking too much about it. He's 27-year-old Bosnian center forward. He had 15 goals last year and tacked on 2 assists to go with him. And the assist leader that they had last season, there are 2 of them, Angelo Stiller and Max Mittelstadt. They both had 8 assists on the season.
a player to watch for them is definitely Angelo Stiller, 24-year-old German defensive midfielder. He's a product of the Bayern Academy. He came into his own as a deep-lying defensive midfielder and has been rumored with a lot of the bigger clubs around Europe, and he's still there. So a lot of like Sebastian Hoeneß. Maybe this is the season that all of this stuff is here for one more go and to win the Bundesliga. Plus 1,500 to finish in the top 4. Plus 450, so not bad. Word on the street, odds have them between 5 and 9. And I mean, honestly, I think it's a little low. And of course, there's bias on this one too, because we saw them here. But hear me out. Hoeneß is just a good manager coach. Hoeneß, however you want to say his name, but it's like there's no denying it at this point. He's one of the best German coaches in the world right now, and his squad have now fought to get promoted in the Bundesliga. They fought to stay there. They got to the Champions League, and then they become German Cup champions. So even though he didn't go in the table as far as progression goes last season, they won a cup. They won the German Cup. So, I mean, he's building something, and they have Champions League revenue coming in. They have experience of winning. I mean, this is a team that I'm very high on. And of course, yes, I think the vibes are great because I have a bit of a bias, but I feel like they will outpace some of those teams and finish above finished above them in this past season. I think they really do have a huge bounce back 25-26 campaign. So 5 to 9, I'm feeling like they're probably going to finish in that top 4, maybe 5th place, but I feel like they're going to be right up there.
Yeah, and we will see it. We're hoping the best for them because, again, they came to our hometown. They came and gave us a show. Cool, it was pretty nice. Let's go. We'll keep them up there, folks. But we are going to head and move on to one of our bucket list destinations, because we're going to go to FC Union Berlin because they definitely know how to party. Go watch their crowd. Go watch their supporters. Their stadium is incredible. But last year, not so incredible. They finished 13th overall. They had 35 goals for, which is actually 2 more than they had the year prior, and had 51 goals against, which is actually 7 less than they had the year before.
And despite how poor their season felt, they still outperformed their 23-24 year. I don't know what the expectations were for them coming into last season, but they did well as far as the bookends go, meaning the beginning and end of the season. In the middle of the season, from November to February, in a span of 15 matches, they lost 10 of those. So maybe don't look at that part. But everything else, that was awesome. And that middle of the season kind of sunk them trying to get into any of the higher placings in the Bundesliga table.
Yes, sir. And they're coached by Steffen Baumgart. The German just signed on just before the 2025 calendar year in December. And tell us a little bit more about who he took over for.
He took over for one Bo Svensson. I love that Bo is a name that's like Danish. I didn't know. It's like a trailer here, right? Like trailer park Bo. It's Bo Svensson. I mean, that's a cool name. Anyways, after he was sacked for their terrible midseason slump that we just talked about, they bring in Steffen Baumgart, and things changed around. So maybe he's the real deal.
We'll see. And the key players that had this top scorer for last season, cover years, was Benedikt Hollerbach, and cover years Union Berlin, because obviously he left. But what an awesome name, Benedikt Hollerbach.
Right?
Great.
Right.
Yeah, Hollerbach. 24-year-old German center forward had 9 goals for Union Berlin, as well as 3 assists. And their leading assist leader from last year is Tom Roth, the 20-year-old German left midfielder, had 4 assists and also tacked on 3 goals to go with it.
Yeah, Tom Roth, he's going to be the player to watch too. He's exciting young talent, tallied the most assists like we just talked about. And that was his first season with Union Berlin after moving over from Dortmund. So hopefully he can add on to that season, and we might be talking about him a lot more in the future. The odds for him for this Union Berlin side to win the Bundesliga, plus 25, to finish in the top 4 is plus 3,500. And the word on the street, they're pretty much odds on to finish middle of the table, but out of the relegation troubles, which is good. And that'll still be a progression. So they go up from 23-24 fighting relegation, 24-25 finishing 13th, or, right under mid-table. Odds have them finishing right at mid-table. They did lose their top goal scorer to Mainz, like we just talked about, Hollerbach. But they bring in a couple of other people. It's not like Hollerbach scored outrageous goal numbers for them. It's not like Mainz losing Burkhardt, who had 18 goals. Hollerbach had, 10 we just talked about? 9. It was 9 goals. Yeah. So he's talented, but obviously not indispensable for this team. I think they brought in 2 center forwards, an attacking midfielder to replace him. So maybe 10 to 13 feels right for this Union Berlin team, and that would be a good season for them, improving season. And yeah, I think so. I don't have the kits for them, but yeah, I'm looking at their stadium, and you're right, bucket list for sure.
Yeah, always a good time. It looks like they know how to party, and we will definitely see Union Berlin soon. And we will go ahead and move forward. We got 2 left, and the next to last we have is Werder Bremen. Werder Bremen finished 8th last season. They had 54 goals for, which was tied or was 9th best in the league, and also 6 less than they had the year before. And they had 57 goals against, which was tied 13th in the league, and 3 more than they allowed the year before.
Yeah, and Bremen, they were about as mid-table as you can get. They for the better part of the season, they ended on a high note, winning 6 of the last 10 matches and fighting for Europe. The real reason they didn't hit the goal, that goal of getting into Europe, was because they were in a funk from January through February, where they lost 6 of 10 matches. Hot and cold is kind of what you'd call that. And no Europe for them. So yes, there you go.
No Europe for them, but they just hired on a coach this past summer, the German Horst Steffen, and he replaced Ole Werner. Tell us a little bit more about Ole Werner.
Yes. When Ole Werner's contract expired at the end of the season, Werder turned to Elversberg manager Horst Steffen. And Elversberg, they were the team that lost to Double H in the relegation playoff, but they were a team that was everybody's really high on in the second division in German football. And so he comes over with a bit of a pedigree, maybe not at this Bundesliga level, but definitely some kind of excitement around this coach coming in.
Yes, sir. And the key players that they had, the top scorer last season is Jens Stage. I think it's Stage, right? Is it Danish or is it just
Danish? I don't know. Maybe Staga. I don't know.
Staga. Anyway, the 28-year-old Danish center mid had 10 goals as well as 5 assists. And their assist leader that they had last season, there were actually 2 of them, which was Mitchell Weiser and Marvin Duksch. I think I said that. They both had 9 assists. Duksch.
Yeah, my boy Duksch. I don't know if that's it. I'm just making fun of it. Player to watch. The player to watch for this team is Sam Mbagula. Did they have like the worst, or not the worst, the hardest to say names in the league? I mean, But our boy Sam is a 21-year-old Belgian left winger. They brought him in from Juve for a decent money this summer, and hopefully he can end up putting some more goals in the back of the net for this team and for Horst Steffen. Their odds to win the Bundesliga plus 20,000, to finish in the top 4 plus 1,200. And word on the street is Bremen scream mid-table to me and to the odds. They have them 9-12, and I think they probably end up around 11th is what I would say, 10th, 11th, because I mean, I can name about 10 teams that I think are better than Bremen at the moment. And maybe that sounds weird or rude, but it's not, because there's a lot of good teams in the Bundesliga this season, and they're just, mid-table. They're right there.
It's fine. And I think it's their away kit, the one on the right, the one that you're looking at.
Oh, yeah.
That is nice. It's like
That's
dark
clean,
green with a goldish, or like just like it's goldish.
Even their home one, I like it too. Just classic. Yeah, these are good. Maybe I'll bump them up. Maybe they'll be 8th in the table with these kits. So.
Just based off kits alone. Yeah. Well, we will go ahead and move on to the last team we are going to talk about today for the Bundesliga 2025-2026 season, and it's Wolfsburg. For the life of me, cannot understand how with a name like Wolfsburg, you don't put a wolf in your logo. It's just a W.
Right.
But they finished 11th last season. They had 56 goals for, which is actually 15 more than they had the year prior. Also tied 6 for as far as in the league. And they had 54 goals against, which was tied for 12th overall, but still 2 less than they had the year before.
And Wolfsburg finished between 8th and 12th in the last 3 seasons. And last season they ended in 11th. So they kind of make that 4 years running that they're right at that mid-table range. So with that said, they scored a ton more goals than they did in 23-24. And if it went for them losing 6 of their final 10 matches and only winning once in their last 10, they could have finished higher up in this table, possibly fought for Europe, but they had a big fall off towards the end of the season.
Yeah, well, one guy hopes to turn that around, who just got signed this summer, is the Dutchman, Paul Simonis. I think I said that right. Simonis.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit more about him and his upcoming endeavor. Like that,
kind of like with Werder Bremen, with their coach coming in from Elversberg. Wolfsburg's coach Paul Simonis, he comes in highly touted because he led the Go Ahead Eagles in the Netherlands to their first Dutch Cup in 92 years, and he takes over for Ralph Hasenhüttl at Wolfsburg. And they're bringing in a lot of the coaches that that are young and have a lot of promise. And so hopefully he can help this Wolfsburg team kind of reach new heights.
Yes, sir. And their key players that they had from last season, their top scorer was Mohamed Amoura. I think I said that right. Amoura. He's an Algerian. The 25-year-old center forward had 10 goals, and to go along with that, had 12 assists. And he had more assists than goals, which makes him also the assist leader from last season. He was a one-man show. Tell us a little bit more about him.
I mean, he's just the main guy to watch for them at the moment. Maybe that will change if they brought in some more players, but I mean, he was on load from Union SG in Belgium, and they bring him over permanently because of how well he did. So we'll see if that makes an impact on this season and if he does as well. Their odds to win the Bundesliga plus 15,000 to finish in the top 4 is plus 1,200. And they do, because they have, I guess, some money behind them. We'll leave it at that. They have Vinny Souza coming in from Sheffield United. Of course, Amora is coming in. They have a few more people on this list as well. The odds have them finishing somewhere between 6 and 10 this year, which makes sense because they finished in that range the past 4 seasons. So why not go for the 5th time? I think unquestionably, if they wouldn't have collapsed at the end of the season, though, they could have finished at a much, much better place. And we'll be talking about them differently. They keep the team intact. But now the biggest question for Wolfsburg is how Simonis fares in his first season in Germany. I think he has the tools to reach the top 6. If he can make that switch from the Netherlands to Germany, and I have a good feeling that they will. I think that we will see a Wolfsburg team in that top 6. Hopefully, I can feel it. I feel it.
Good. Well, that's it. That is the last team we have for the 2025-2026 Bundesliga season, and we are done. If we release them in the order that we recorded them, that's the last one, and you've hopefully watched the remaining ones. If you didn't, we also did La Liga. We also did Serie A, and, of course, the Premier League. Looking forward to the next season for all of these leagues. And, of course, thank you for spending time with us and talking about some European football. Please follow us on all our socials. Everything is at No Business Soccer Podcast except for Twitter, except for TikTok. That is at No Biz Sock Pod because those names were too damn long. Guys, the season is also starting. Everyone's excited. Be sure to like and subscribe so that you get all of our videos coming up talking about the previews for the next week's matches and also the wraparounds. After the weeks are done, I'm sorry for talking for so long. We will all talk to you very, very soon. Peace.